In this video, Foxanne's MOT preparations continue. It is New Year's Day, so Happy New Year to everybody. It's the first day of 2022. Let's have a bit of a chat about what Foxanne actually is. Now, I apologise for any wind noise. I've got a microphone problem at the moment, which means I'm using the wrong one, and I'm trying to use one where I've made a wind muff out of Scotch-Brite. But Foxanne is a Reliant Fox dating from 1983. Which is fairly early on. This is actually a Greek design based on Reliant running gear for Reliant decided to bring to the UK, and it's sold in fairly limited numbers, about 600 we think. Numbers are a bit hard to actually pinpoint. The steering, I think it's Triumph Herald steering rack. It's certainly a very impressive turning circle, so they are very manoeuvrable and very light too. We've got Reliant's all alloy 4-cylinder engine here, which is another link to standard Triumph. It's thought to be based on, I think it was an Indian standard engine, which would have had an iron block and head, but this is all alloy to keep the weight as low as possible, which was very necessary for Reliant's freewheelers. Obviously, that's what they're more famous for. The freewheelers, they had to be under a certain weight so they could be driven by someone who only had a motorbike license. That was always Reliant's main selling point. They made several attempts to sell small four-wheeled vehicles, the Rebel, the Kitten and the Fox van here, but they never sold in anywhere like the numbers, because if you could drive a normal car, you would probably just go out and buy a better car. I don't wish to knock Reliant, it's great that they had a go, but they were competing with much larger companies that were building cars that were, you know, fundamentally a fair bit better, I think. But lots of charm with Foxanne. She's always hugely popular on the channel. The styling is rather distinctive, but follows that Greek Mabea design, I think it was. We've got a removable hardtop here, so you could optionally specify a cab window at the back and have it as an open pickup, or you could have a canvas tilt on the back here. Got a little drop down flap and leaf spring rear suspension, but coil spring independent front. So with the rack and pinion steering, the turning is really good, but this isn't a particularly well located rear axle, so you have to always bear that in mind. Moving inside, mine is a bit of a mess. These seats are out of a Volvo 340, or so I understand. They've got lumbar adjustment, very comfortable. Tiny little steering wheel shared with the freewheelers, column stalks shared with the Austin Metro and Land Rover, I believe. We've got a tiny little speedometer which optimistically goes up to 100 miles an hour. 4-speed all synchromesh gearbox. That gearbox shared with the freewheelers. This car has never really been finished. I painted it with emulsion, household emulsion paint. That's an area I didn't prep sufficiently, and that's the colour it was when I got it, a sort of sludgy green. But yeah, this paint, it's just household emulsion, which I've then sprayed sealer over the top, and it's lasted remarkably well. You know, we're about 2 years in since this car got back on the road now. It was my winter project from 2018 into 2019, but all we did was go to the Bromley pageant. We haven't done a fat lot since, so the plan is to get her back on the road again, hopefully get an MOT pass on Tuesday, and then we'll be taking her to well, actually I'm not sure what's going to happen, but she needs to find her way towards the Reliant people who will sort her out and sort some of her foibles out. There was an initial plan to do this at the Practical Classics Restoration Show at the NEC in Birmingham. Happens every March, and the plan was to take her there at the start of 2020, but obviously things went a bit topsy-turvy, so that never happened. But yeah, I would like to do more with this vehicle. It's good fun to drive, if a bit noisy and bouncy, and yeah, we need to do much more. So one of the first jobs I'm going to do today is grease the ball joints. I have a feeling not every ball joint on this car has a grease nipple, but some of them do, so it'd be well worth going over those, giving them a bit of love with a grease gun. So crack off the nuts first of all, which are an annoying imperial size, I think. It's unseasonably warm today, which isn't a great sign in some ways, although perhaps preferable to this day last year when we were still battling the Rover 75's alternator and it was trying to snow. it was much colder. It's about 14 degrees centigrade today, which is just crazy for January. It's on the one hand nice, but on the other hand you end up wondering why this is happening and feel a little concerned. Let's just pick up my trusty trolley jack and I'll find somewhere to jack her up. This jack is monumentally heavy and a bit of a pain, but I got it from Halfords years ago. It's got a quick lift and it's high lift, so it's very useful for the 2CV. Nice big, is that a chassis member? Yeah, I'll have a go at jacking on that, I think that'll be alright. So, got her in gear, handbrakes on. There we go, that's the wheel up. I might as well get it a bit more up, just makes it a little more comfortable to work on. And grab an axle stand. I'm sure there is terrible wind noise going on, for which I can only apologise. It is quite breezy. Oh, I have to go up a bit more to get the trolley jack in. Down on that. There we go, we'll lift the jack in. More security the better when it comes to jacking a vehicle up. So the first job you saw me do was undo the wheel nuts, and that was actually a question on my driving test back in 1995. Was what's the first thing you'd do before trying to change a tyre? Speaking of learning to drive, obviously Miss Hubnut's progress has been hampered somewhat by her car being broken. We got some plans for the charade. I'll bring you around, I can actually talk to you rather than you looking at my back. So hopefully we will get the charade back into action soon, maybe as soon as next week. Take the load off the big cars a bit, because Betty in particular is doing a lot of miles she wasn't meant to be doing. Betty is default daily at the moment, and she's done 6,000 miles since I got her back on the road in July. And while she's insured for 10,000 a year, I wasn't actually planning on doing 10,000 a year, especially not with her first for fuel. And fuel prices are quite high at the moment, generally about £1.47 per litre. So you can imagine it's costing quite a bit, which is why obviously the V6 Camry automatic made such sense. And something else a lot of people were saying, why doesn't Miss Hubnut learn to drive in the Matiz? There's a couple of reasons why not. The major one is that car is not road legal at the moment, which is why Myrtle is sat there. She's waiting for me to try and work out what's going on with her engine, because it's not running right. And because it's not running right, she's got not a cat in hell's chance of passing an MOT. There is a ball joint, has it got? No grease nipple on that ball joint. This top one got a grease point? No, I don't believe it has. So this is well worth doing. But this might adjust up the brakes, because it's drum brakes all round, non-servoed. So while we're here, doesn't look like we can grease any ball joints, but we can check them for play. Doesn't seem to be a fat lot there. And we can give these brake pipes a bit of a rub down just to make sure they are actually solid, and we'll grease them up again as well. Now no doubt then be an advisory that the fuel pipes, the brake pipes are covered in something. So let's go and find the brake tool, which is the same as the one I use on Tuck. It's a little square adjuster here down the back, and we'll get that done. I'll just show you what's going on. So it looks like I've covered these brake pipes in wax before. They've got some sort of waxy deposit on, but I think we'll just clean that up with a bit of Scotch-Brite and reapply to make sure all the unions are good and everything. But yeah, drum brakes all round. You can see there's plenty of free play in that, so we might adjust it out. There's a bit of roughness because the brakes are a bit rusted up because she hasn't been out on the road for well over a year. But yeah, we'll give that a good clean up. But yeah, this is the ball joint, but I can't see any bleed nipple on that. This is one underneath, no, and there's no bleed point, no grease point on this one either. At least my boots are in good order, so that's a failure. If they're tired, same as steering rack gaiter, just check that's all right. All seems good. I do know these bushes are quite tired, but this triangulation bar sort of goes into, but that's one of the jobs to do once we've sorted her out. Try and tighten up the front end a bit, is replace those bushes and possibly the anti-roll bar bushes. There is an anti-roll bar here on the front. I think the bushes are okay, but might be an idea to replace those as well. Galvanized chassis, so in theory this vehicle is Wales proof. Okay, what I've actually found while I'm in here cleaning is a grease nipple on this big bottom ball joint, and it looks like I did actually grease it up last time by the look of it, so that's good of me. Smear that up there, so that's good. I'll go and get my grease gun then. So yeah, when I say she's got good lock, look at this, just keeps going round. It's like bleeding drift speck. Just going to clean up this grease nipple some more. One of my least favourite jobs is greasing, because it always turns into a bit of a farce. And here we go. Now it's just coming straight out the gun. It's always an absolute farce. Trying to get the tension just right on there so it'll actually go on the lead nipple. There we go. No, still not working. Let's see if we can unscrew the nipple, see what state it's in. Yeah, that doesn't seem too bad. That looks like it should actually take some grease. If there is some dried grease blocking this, hopefully this hot air torch, oh, you can see it leaking out. Yeah, that is clearing it out good and proper. You can also do some weeding while you're at it, because yeah, grass does not like this level of heat. You can do this in situ, but I think it's a bit safer not to. So you can, yeah, I'll grab some pliers to pick that up. I don't think I want to pick that up with my bare hands. Let's try it now. The pin was working. There we go. That's what should happen. Grease should come out of that hole. So now we'll screw that back into the car and try again. I'll give up. That's another grease gun that can get in the friggin' sea. It is, as I remember anyway. There is no grease point on that side, so it should be all right. Obviously I will fit the bonnet before going for an MOT, but we don't need that today. We're not going out on the road. I'm not going to neutral, and here we go. Sounds as good as ever. She always sounds amazing, Foxanne. Hear a bit of a rattle, which I think is my mole grips, my new solution. Just squeeze past the multiplier. Oh, those brakes are damp. Yeah, I've reset the choke and moved that a bit further away from the battery terminal. Might as well go safe, eh? And so she'll start this time and run a bit better. Hopefully a little bit better then. Right. Come on, Foxanne, you've got to drive, whoa, wheel spin, to an MOT station on Tuesday. Oh, there she goes. She does like her choke, unlike Ellie. Ellie, the 2CV, can be a fair bit less choky. And until she's warmed up, Foxanne is a bit of a pig. Get out onto the main drive and give her a bit more. Oh, those brakes are not great. Got to warm those linings up and get them cleaned up a bit. Oh, locked the wheel up that time, so we're getting better. We're getting there. We're getting there. So I think I'm going to give her a few runs around the yard. There isn't very far, but hopefully I can warm the brakes up a bit and she'll then feel that much better. Yeah, brakes are much better, but we got some clutch issues. I'm hoping this isn't something going wrong in the clutch, but if I put the clutch down... Oh, I can select gears now. Can I select reverse? No synchro mesh on reverse. Hear that? That's ugh. That's a clutch that is not entirely disengaging. Yeah, and I can't get that in. But if I turn the engine off, it then goes straight in. So that's what tells me the clutch is not disengaging properly. Yeah, it's a bit wet everywhere today, but that is the adjuster there. So I need to adjust that so it's pulling the clutch fork harder, I guess. I can't do this while holding the camera, I'm afraid. But really, I want the nuts further down there, I think, is my general conclusion. And the acid test will be if I can get reverse. Foot hard on the brake, just in case we drag, because we're still up on the jack at the moment. Clutch down. Successful engagement. So first, second, third, fourth, across, and into reverse. There we go. That was a very simple little adjustment. So what happens if I reduce the choke? There we go, that's minimum choke is now achieved. We'll get her off the stand and jack and go for another drive. Well, there we go. We had a few runs around the yard. The brakes feel much better. The clutch is adjusted so it's not crunching into reverse. Now we just got to wait. So thank you for watching this one. I'm glad so many of you love little Foxanne. We're a bit low on Foxanne merchandise. We're a bit low on merchandise generally. We're running the store a little low through January. It's a quiet time of year. We've got to do a lot of sorting out before we start ordering more stock in. We need to find a new supplier for hoodies as well. So there's much to do other than mucking about with cars. But yeah, I'm feeling confident. Hopefully she'll be okay for the MOT. And then we can see about some further improvement works for Foxanne. I think there's a lot of potential here that I haven't got anywhere near unlocking. So let's see what we can do. So thank you very much for watching. I shall see you in a future video. Farewell.